So I failed the NCLEX. Oh, crap. That's pretty much how I felt when I found out that I didn't pass the NCLEX. How did I find out? Because I finally decided to do the Pearson VUE trick, which means that if you try to re-register, if you pass the test, you won't be able to. But if you didn't pass the test, then your payment to re-register will be accepted. So yeah. Anyway, so that's what happened, and I don't know what to do. I was really feeling like crap for about a week to 2 weeks, and I felt my stomach, my heart go in the bottom, on the pit of my stomach. It was the most terrible feeling, and it made me doubt myself. I'm a crappy nurse. Should I even be in this field? But how am I gonna pay? Or even worse, I was thinking about stuff like, how am I gonna pay for rent now? I have a lot of bills I have to pay. I'm not in school, so I'm expected to do work now, and I can't continue with the program if I don't have any RN experience. I can't have any RN experience if I'm not an RN, which is what I did when I was going to school. But after a while, I started to settle down, and I'm not the worst person in the world. The NCLEX is just a test that tests whether or not you can pass the minimal competency, and although that makes me feel bad, it feels terrible. It only photographs one instant aspect of your life. So not only does it mean that you just didn't do well on taking just a test, doesn't mean that you're not a bad person. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you don't care about your job as a nurse. It doesn't mean that you don't care about other people. It just means that you weren't able to pass the test, and the test is required for everybody. And it's just one of those hard things about life, that no matter how much effort you put into nursing school, and or in my case, whether you worked during nursing school, will ultimately determine on whether or not you remember these things that you studied enough that you were able to pass the NCLEX RN. And so, there's a lot of excuses, and you can freak out about it, or you can move on. But yes, it does get harder because you forget some of the stuff that you learned, and there's nobody pushing you. And for the longest time, I kept getting invited to a lot of social events with my classmates, and they were just like, hey, what are you doing? I got an interview. And then a couple of them are like, wait, I got accepted into the unit that I wanted, and yay. And especially with a lot of the girls, now that I'm a nurse, I make money, and I can get married to my longtime boyfriend, and a lot of that crap. And they'll do stuff like, oh, I just checked the computer, you don't have your NCLEX license yet. Where is it? How long are you gonna wait to take the test? And blah blah blah. It's the worst feeling in the world, because nurses are collaborative in nature, and that can work for the patient, but can also work against you when internally you're the one that is trying to process everything now. So you have to wait. You have to pay $500 extra again, so it's $250 for the NCLEX board, and then $200 for re-registering for the Pearson to take the NCLEX again. And then you have to wait 45 days, so you can do stuff like, I don't know, pretend that you're just going back to nurse practitioner school because you didn't want to waste time, versus where everybody wants to work at least as an RN for a few months before they start nurse practitioner school. But I don't really have a choice. I have to start nurse practitioner school with seasoned nurses, so people who've already had their diplomas, And I got my diploma, but they have the NCLEX behind it, so now they can call themselves RN BSN. And then when you're in class, they're talking about how, oh, during my RN experience in this unit and blah blah blah, and you can't say crap because you're not an RN. Anyway, so you can continue to freak out and go into a spiral mode and then just kind of isolate yourself. But you know what? I did something about it. I worried, because you're never going to stop worrying until you take that test again. I'm pretty sure I won't. And I even worried about doing this video, about telling you guys, because you guys are going to be like, why do I want to follow this guy? He's a jerk. He can't tell me any advice about nursing or nursing in general, because he can't even pass the NCLEX. Well, I can worry about that, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure you guys don't care. I'm pretty sure one or two of you guys also didn't pass the NCLEX. And that's probably because, you just didn't study for a particular set. You just didn't study for the whole exam. You just kind of focused on one thing, or things that you specialized in, or you thought that you would need the most help in, but you also forgot about nursing fundamentals. So that's what the NCLEX is really, nursing fundamentals. So a lot of that is, management of care, safety, and isolation precautions, and delegation. And those were my three weakest parts. And that's good to know, because I had jobs, so I had a lot of jobs also. So I had a lot of pressure, because they were like, well, we want to hire you for a new grad program, for this hospital, or we want you to be our case manager for our agency because you're an RN with BSN experience and all that stuff. So all this stuff adds to a lot of stress. And so I decided to take the test a week early, and maybe I was consistently scoring above 60, but it was just like above 61%, 62%. It was consistent, but it wasn't really super high. So there was still a chance that I wouldn't pass. And you know what? That's exactly what happened. So how long do I stress about it? Well, there was this guy I saw, and I was reading up on it, and he was reading about like the worries of stress, like actual stressing about stress. And stress is good. Stress gets you out of your ass, gets you motivated, lights that fire, and then makes you want to go, go, go. And, maybe after you're done crying and thinking that you're useless, and that you went through all this for nothing and now have hundreds and thousands of student loans in debt, then you can just ask yourself this question. How much... I'm going to write over it because I don't know what happened to this graphics. How much is constructive anguish? How much of that anguish that you're worried about because you didn't pass the test, how much of it is constructive? And how much is just you self-bashing? How much is it just you making yourself feel bad, or me making myself feel bad about myself? So let's go through it. Is it useful for me to be freaking out about it? It was, yeah, for a little bit in the beginning, because it made me realize that I really wanted it, and maybe I didn't work as hard as I thought I should have, or I thought that I had studied effectively, but when in fact all the times that I procrastinated in nursing school and decided to take on a night shift rather than studying by myself all the time, actually finally caught up with me. And then what am I angry about? Am I angry at myself? Am I angry at my situation? I had to support myself while I was in nursing school. Nobody was there to help me. I don't have any other friends or family that were nurses. That's a lie. I'm sorry. Here's me making another excuse. What am I angry about? I'm angry about I'm angry about me. Okay? I'm angry about having to wait and falling behind. That's a huge, huge concern for a lot of nurses. Because we want to be on a fast track. We want to be where everybody is. We want to have the glamorous hospital job. We want to have a shift that we can go to and something to complain about. We want to make that money. We want to get advanced in our career. It's natural. So luckily I have money that I saved up working as an LVN, and I also have student loans money coming in as a nurse practitioner student. But yeah, I was hoping to pay off some of those student loans already when I started working as an RN, getting that RN pay, But that's not happening, and now I'm paying fees to retake the test. Although I did enjoy some aspects of it in that I'm maybe an outlier. I'm not part of the regular traditional hospital gig, and my career's somehow going in a weird way. And I'm still going to take my NCLEX again. I'm studying for it now, but I'm enjoying different jobs, Like I have jobs now where I'm working in school. Not my school, not where I study, but in elementary schools and some high schools. And it's pretty neat to be able to work. Get that stuff out of here. It's pretty neat to be able to work and have my own office. I'm working as an LVN with RN BSN. I'm working basically as an LVN with BSN education. But it's neat because it gives me a sense of a taste of being able to see what it's like to be an independent, autonomous practitioner. So I've got my exam table, and I'd never really worked with kids before. So, I work with a lot of kids, and they're super cute. And, I learned to use my charm. Well, not my charm. I just kind of like wiggle my face around like, blah, 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 and try to distract them from the pain or whatever injury they self-inflicted on themselves. And but it's hard too though, because no job is going to be super duper easy. And some of the things that make it fun is because it's challenging, and I'm finding some challenges too, and I find some of these challenges are pretty important for me to remember when I become a nurse practitioner or even an RN. Sometimes it's easier to be able to have a team to collaborate with in a hospital. So going back, how much is this constructive anguish, and then how much is just self-bashing? Like I said, of course, I still have to pass the NCLEX, and I need to do it soon. So I finally decided to reach out, and I don't want to tell my classmates yet. So if you know me, pretend like you don't know, because I don't want you to know. I don't want to have to think about the lies that I have to come up with when people are like, oh my God, I love my new job and I'm making $40 an hour and stuff like that. And I'd rather you not know, But not telling anybody makes you pretty lonely. It makes you feel like you have an extra burden, and that makes it even harder to take the test. And with the NCLEX just kind of like brewing on your mind. So I decided to reach out, like some of the other YouTubers suggest, and reached out to my faculty. In nursing school, especially if you're a male, I'm just going to tell you right now, there are faculty that are just going to be coming for you. But I'm pretty sure, unless you're a complete jerk, that, man or woman, you're going to have some pretty supportive faculty. And my faculty member was actually previously the dean of our school. And she wasn't too happy with me, but before not feeling happy, when I finally decided to tell her, she she just went, oh, well, let's get started. Let's go figure out what's going on. And I told her I paid for the UWorld and because my Kaplan ran out. And she's like, what? Why did you do that? I'm just going to use um, the school's account, and we're just going to extend your Kaplan again. So you just use that to study again, and then you make a plan. And so she made a plan for me. She sat me down in her office, had me make up a plan of how often I'm going to study and then how I'm going to attack my weaknesses and stuff like that. And the whole time I was talking with her, I just felt so taken care of. And I loved her for it. And, I can tell she was a little bit ashamed because she's like, Howie, I know. I remember you a couple of times when I was teaching classes and, you weren't very pleased with the classes, and I can tell you were kind of sleeping a little bit. And yeah, I was, because I hated leadership. I was like, I don't want to be a manager. And I hated, like cultural stuff. I mean, cultural is important, but I don't think you have to go too far into it. But you do need to know why people need to have, like, why Muslim patients that are practicing Muslims need to have only female nurses if it's a female patient, or, like have the wife shower, the husband or stuff like that. And, why Asians, really go into hot and cold to be able to advocate, to be able to try to use mode of healing, and why some Latina patients have so many family members. So all this stuff, she just helped me. She just was like, all right, well, you obviously were sleeping in my classes, and that's why she didn't say that, but, that's why I was weak with delegation, because I hated leadership. I only was interested in anatomy and physiology and medications and emergency and critical care, but that's not what the NCLEX tests you. The NCLEX tests you on everything. You have to be a well-rounded nurse first before you can start focusing on what you wanted to do, and that's what happened with me. I was too excited. I wanted to focus on RN stuff, but I didn't want to do like basic RN stuff like time management, leadership, delegation, and isolation precautions. So I thought that was boring, but that actually constituted a huge part of being a nurse. So what do I need to work on? Well, I got the letter. It's called the CAT or something, and it shows me the weaknesses of what I was weak on. So I take those strategies, and I have back my Kaplan and my Saunders and my UWorld, and I'm gonna keep testing, and I'm making more tests that are specific just to these weaknesses that I mentioned before. Like delegation and time management and all that stuff. And then I'm also gonna still practice general questions and to see what it's like to take the test a second time. This time I'll know to take my time up until 75 questions, and just really make sure that those tests, the questions on those tests, that I really spend a lot of time on that. And then if I have to continue on past 75 to 265 or whatever, then I can start maybe minding the amount of time I spend on each question. But it's 265 questions, and you have 6 hours, so that's a lot of time. I'm not going to rush it this time, so I'm not going to rush next time I take the test. Okay, and then that also extends to not rushing when I'm making an appointment. So I know there's lots of jobs waiting for me, and I'll feel better interviewing for new grad positions if I have the RN NCLEX under my belt. But if I'm not ready, then I'm not ready, and that's entirely my responsibility. If I can't keep consistently scoring higher than a 60% on all these like accumulative tests, or I'm only staying around 60% and I'm not scoring greater than 80% consistently, then I'm not ready to take that test. I don't care because every single virtual test that I took, I always passed the NCLEX. But you know what? I was not feeling stressed. I was at home, or I was in a quiet library, and it predicted that I would pass almost passed, so I had a good chance of passing, but I also had a good chance of failing, and that's what happened. I had a good, statistically, it could have gone either way, so what I need to do is to make me passing the test statistically possible, and me failing it to be less, so in the bell curve, I need to be, if I'm in the bell curve, I can, if I'm here and I have, I can pass, but yet there's still a chance of me not passing, I need to be here. So, am I ready for that? I don't know. Stick with me and we'll figure it out. Okay? Wish me luck, and I hope you guys don't get too crazy and just cry and just kind of feel bad about yourself. And, just keep on keeping on and just be like me in this video. Inside, I'm still freaking out 3 weeks later that I didn't pass, but I still have to go on with my life. I'm freaking out inside, but I still have to make that left turn. So good luck to everybody, and I hope that you accept the consequences, think of a plan to get your way out, and ask for support from people that you think will give it to you, and hunker down, and just so you know, I support you, and I know you're strong, and I'm strong, and I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to work hard to pass that test the next time I take it. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.